What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is one of those videos that I probably should have posted towards the beginning of the build because this is one of the first things that I did, which is removing the front springs and shocks out of any Alfa Romeo 105. That includes, which is my car, the saloon, and the coupes, and all the spiders as well. And let's carry on with the video. I purchased a 36-inch 3/8" rod, a couple nuts and washers, and some coupling nuts, which are really tall nuts that in this case act as kind of like a spacer. The first thing to do was to cut the rod into 3 12-inch pieces. They should look something like this when you're done. Now the first thing to remove on the car is the front anti-roll bar. It's connected to the body and the spring pan. On the spring pan side, remove this bolt that faces the front of the car. The bar is clamped onto the body with 2 bolts on each side. Now remove this bottom and top nut that connects the bar to the spring pan. Use a hammer and tap the thread out of the spring pan. Slide one of the rods into the hole with the coupling nut on the bottom of the pan and a regular nut and washer on the top of the pan. Remove the nut and bolt that's towards the door and tighten up another rod into this hole. Do the same exact thing in the front hole by the oil pan. I used a bottle jack to control the pressure a little bit more as the spring is released. You can probably use a regular jack too. I jacked it up until it provided some pressure onto the spring pan. Then remove the last nut and bolt towards the back center of the car. At this point, all the pressure of the spring will be on these 3 rods. Slowly release the pressure of the spring by undoing these coupling nuts equally. Then release some of the pressure by compressing the bottle jack. Just keep going back and forth between the 3. Make sure there's no more load from the spring and remove all 3 rods. You should be able to remove the spring pan and spring now. Now onto the shock. Remove the nut and washers on the bottom. Now undo the nut on the top. You should be able to compress the shock a little bit to remove it. Slide it off the bottom part and it should come out. Now with the shocks and springs removed, you can put new OEM parts or some aftermarket lowering springs and shocks for more spirited driving. That's all there is to it. It might look a little tedious, but once you build those rod systems, it's pretty easy to interchange springs or having to remove the springs or install new springs again. All that system is really doing is releasing the pressure of the spring at a much slower rate so that you don't get hurt by the spring flinging out and hitting you or something. The next video is actually going to be much more up to date about the new suspension that I have installed into the front. So I'm super stoked for that. Again, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time.